So, I'm a year into my hybrid analog mixing studio journey, and I felt really close to finalizing my workflow until I saw the Jason Joshua seminar last week. Did I waste 25 grand on analog gear? Hi, I'm Ed Thorne. So Jason Joshua mixes 100% in the box and has billions of streams, so he must be doing something right. Now, previously on this channel, I've done analog versus plug-in shootouts, and for me, the analog has always won. It's always sounded deeper, fuller, and more three-dimensional. I've linked a playlist in the description below for you to check out those videos and hear for yourself what I mean, and there's more coming. So when it came to building my own mixing studio last year, I wanted analog gear, and I chose the route of 500 series. It's small, more affordable, and easily interchangeable to audition different pieces. To date, I've spent about £25,000 on analog outboard gear, and here's the crunch. I'm not sure my mixers sound any better for it. Ouch! So Paul Third and I produce the Working Audio Tools podcast every week for Produce Like a Pro, where we compare and critique each other's mixes of multi-tracks in the Produce Like a Pro Academy library. Paul mixes in the box on headphones, and I mix with a hybrid setup primarily on speakers. Check out the podcast link below to hear our mix battles, then come back and leave a comment if you can hear a difference between the analog and digital mixers. I feel my analog gear has always given me depth and richness over digital mixes, but were the mixers any better? Well, it's massively subjective, of course, but I have concluded that the overriding factor in the analog versus digital debate is 100% the skill. It's about what you do with the gear or the plugins you have. And Jason is a testament to this by mixing smash hit records all in the box. So did I make a mistake spending 25 grand? Well, here's the thing. At the seminar, it was apparent that Jason is receiving impeccable sounding audio from the best producers and recording engineers in the world. And the rough mixes we heard were 90% already perfect. Now, this audio has clearly been beautifully recorded through killer analog chains on the way in and is already far better than most audio you and I probably receive. And one question that cropped up on my seminar review video is if Jason sums through analog gear. He may do, but he didn't suggest anything either way, but he does run his drum and bass bus through multiple instances of the Waves NLS plugin for a similar effect, so maybe he doesn't. Are his tracks getting mastered through analog gear though? Perhaps, although he said he often delivers his own masters and didn't hint at using analog gear for this either. So, although Jason is doing the final mix ITB, the files he receives are, from what we heard, virtually flawless. So maybe he can mix in the box. Maybe he doesn't need that analog flavor. He's also highly skilled with golden ears and about 30 plus years of experience for which you cannot put a price on. So back to mine and Paul's mixes. I don't think there's a clear winner each week on the podcast, although I'm sure Paul will say otherwise. But I think the mixes are just different, and that's because we have different skill sets. I'm good at mixing drums because I'm a drummer, and Paul gets incredible vocal sounds. The point of the podcast is we share our techniques and incorporate them into our own workflows and constantly improve. Now, is there a 25 grand difference between our mixes? Absolutely not. So did I waste the money? Well, feel free to aggressively troll me in the comments if you think, yes, that'd actually be really good for the engagement on the video and therefore the YouTube algorithm, so you'll actually be doing me a favour. Cheers. Personally, though, I'm still a believer that analog sounds better than plugins in some cases, particularly preamps and compressors. I'm 100% a believer that good audio engineering and tracking through good analog processing on the way in is the best way forward to get the best sounds possible for the mix session. Now, I have to admit, some pieces I bought initially were a waste of time. For example, the IGS Alta FET compressors. I bought two, but quickly realized I didn't like the 4 decibel stepped input and output gain structuring. It's very clunky, so I may need to bite the bullet and buy some seriously high-end, read expensive compressors. And this is another problem with analog. To get the diminishing return incremental improvements, you have to spend money. And does it matter when tracks are bounced to MP3s, streamed, and then listened to on mobile devices? Probably not, but chasing the highest form of art is what makes us human, so we can only try. And plus, analog feels good, it's tangible. Playing with stuff in your hands feels good, and it's a much less repetitive than click, 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 click. So what do you think? Are you in a similar dilemma? Are you for digital or pro analog or both? Do you have a hybrid setup? Let me know. So I'm now a year into my Analg Hybrid journey, and I feel close to finishing my workflow. And Jason has just thrown a massive spanner in the works. He's prompted me to reconsider my approach and how I incorporate analog and digital processing. I am, of course, also somewhat reliant on digital for processing such as sidechaining, dynamic EQ, and multi-band compression. So I think it's just a case of being more selective when I use analog and continuing to incorporate the two. My long-term life goal for the studio is to write with artists, record, produce, and mix their tracks. And for this, I want analog gear for tracking, so most of this gear will always have a place and value. Will I continue to tweak my hybrid mixing setup? Of course I will. Am I stealing all of Jason's mixing techniques? Of course I am. Will I be selling my analog gear? Maybe some of it, yes. But I definitely won't be spending any more money on analog gear. Yeah, right. For now, other than maybe upgrading select pieces as my ears improve. If you're interested in more analog versus digital comparisons, subscribe because I have some more videos on the way. Leave a comment if you have an opinion on this subject. I've been Ed Thorne. It's been emotional. I'll see you on the next one.